A worker in Florida applied to 60 entry-level jobs in September and got one interview. I'm assuming this looks like a what's it called board? Popeyes Popeyes board there, now hiring. Businesses across the U.S. say they're struggling to find employees, especially for hourly work. Joey Holes decided to test their claims, submitting 2 applications per day in September, which application submitting is not easy. I've done it in the past, and it's like they want every piece of information that ever existed on you, and then they want your resume on top of that. And it's like, now, all right, cool. I applied for that one job. Now let me go to the next job, and now I need to fill out their whole form on their website and submit my resume on top of that as well. It's a very tedious process. Holes got one interview, and his summary of the experiment went viral on multiple platforms. Joey Holes recalls first hearing complaints about labor shortage last year when he called to make a donation of convalescent plasma at a clinic near Fort Myers, Florida. The guy went on this rant about how he couldn't find help and he can't keep anybody in his medical facility because they all quit over the stimulus checks. Holes told Insider, and I'm like, your medical professionals quit over $1,200 checks? That seems weird. Yeah, that does seem weird. That seems very weird. Over the next several months, he watched as a growing chorus of businesses claimed they couldn't find anyone to hire because of government stimulus money. It was so ubiquitous that he joined a "No One Wants to Work" Facebook group where users made memes deriding frustrated employers. He said he found it hard to believe that government money was keeping people out of the labor force, especially when the end of the expanded federal unemployment benefits in June did not seem to trigger a surge in employment. If this extra money that everyone's supposedly living off of stopped in June and it's now September, obviously that's not what's stopping them. Workers have argued that companies struggling to hire aren't offering competitive pay and benefits. So Holes, a former food service worker and charter boat crewman, decided to run an experiment. On September 1st, he sent job applications to a pair of restaurants that had been particularly public about their staffing challenges. Then he widened the test and spent the remainder of the month applying to jobs, mostly to employers vocal about the lack of workers, and tracking his journey in a spreadsheet. 2 weeks and 28 applications later, he had just 9 email responses, 1 follow-up phone call, and 1 interview with a construction company that advertised a full-time job focused on on-site cleanup, paying $10 an hour. But Holes said the construction company instead tried to offer Florida's minimum wage of $8.65 to start, even though the wage was scheduled to increase to $10 on September 30th, and wanted, quote, full-time availability while only scheduling part-time until Holes gained, quote, seniority. Holes said he wasn't applying for any roles that he didn't qualify for. Some of the jobs wanted a high school diploma, some wanted retail experience. Most of them either said willing to train or minimum experience, and none of them were over $12 an hour. I didn't apply for anything that required a degree. I didn't apply for anything that said it must have 6 months of experience in this thing. Holes isn't alone. Others have spoken out about their troubles finding work despite the seemingly tight labor market. In a Facebook post on September 29th, which went viral on Twitter and Reddit as well, Holes said, 58 applications says, y'all aren't desperate for workers. You just miss your slaves. My opinion is that this is a familiar story to many. By the end of September, Holes had sent 60 applications, received 16 email responses, 4 follow-up phone calls, and the solitary interview, and shared a pie chart showing the results. 73.3% apply, no reply. Man, Holes acknowledged, however, that his results may not be representative of the larger labor challenges in the country since his search was local and specifically targeted the most vocal critics of stimulus spending. He also said that despite the claims some businesses struggling to hire, his current boss has had no staffing issues during the pandemic. Nobody leaves those positions because he takes care of his people, Hole said, referring to his boss. And I'm going to ding the bell for that. And that is because, you know, you have to take care of the people that work for you. I think that maybe that is a large part of the tactics that are being used. Like, hey, we're gonna pay you, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, but yeah, we advertise starting at, but it's really not starting at. We're really going to start at this, and then you can work your way up. And I think that maybe that is a symptom of what's really going on here. I kind of would be curious myself. Maybe I should run an experiment and put myself through the pain of applying to 2 jobs a day for a month and see how many people I get back hear back from. Sure, my resume doesn't include degrees, but I just won't apply for any of those jobs. And it likely, probably will be a similar. I expect to have a similar response that they're just, these companies that are complaining are getting. They're virtually getting by, with the exception of some, as in that Chicago pizzeria story that I shared yesterday, that ended up having to shut down for a day because they just didn't have the workers to be able to operate. It's there's a big shakeup going on, and I don't know that I don't personally believe that it's just stimulus money. I mean, there's other factors. If you had put your mortgage on forbearance and you took stimulus money, and if you were able to get unemployment in your state. Now, with that said, Holes is in Florida, and unemployment there is not exactly. It's very little there compared to here in New Jersey. I think it's almost like a third. And from the stories that I've heard, people had a nightmare of a time trying to get unemployment in Florida. So yeah, I don't know that that's all. It's not just one thing. And while they do need more help, that doesn't necessarily mean they're willing to pay for it, even if they're advertising that. So maybe it's something. Maybe this is a red flag that, like, I don't know, the FTC should be looking into. As far as they're advertising one thing and they're offering a totally different thing. And meanwhile, I mean, maybe the big guys, the Walmarts, Targets, and Amazons of the world, they're getting away with being able to afford it because they have the customer base and the revenue, and they'll make it up, in the long term. But yeah, I mean, it sucks for small businesses that are struggling to if you are actually struggling to get people, and maybe you need to reinvent how your business operates. And look, some of those companies that did the illness pivot, some of them have made out really well, some of them have not made out so well. And maybe there's a post-illness pivot that needs to occur in order for you to survive what's the coming months and maybe up to a year or more of issues that are coming from the rubber banding effect of supply chain issues and all that. So we will continue to track stories like this one going forward to see how things pan out.